So hello and welcome everyone. This is an interview today with MVP Ivo Sturm, and we'll be asking him a couple of questions about what he does for a living and what it's like to be MVP. So welcome Ivo.
Thanks Jan, thanks for having me over.
Please introduce yourself and tell us what where you work and what you do for a living.
I'm Ivo Sturm. I'm 36 years old. I have studied theoretical physics in Utrecht, where I still live. After that, I traveled the world for a year and then started working at First Consulting, where I now work for 9 years already. And my focus has been the last 4 years really on Mendix, so agile development in general, but in more specifically Mendix as a platform. And that's where I'm also currently involved in multiple projects as one of the experts that First Consulting has currently.
So what is your educational background? You said theoretical physics.
Yeah.
How did you go from theoretical physics to Mendix development?
Well, actually, I didn't really know what to do when I finished my graduation. So I traveled the world for a year. I thought I would get an epiphany of what I wanted to do. But actually, it was quite natural that when I started working at First Consulting, I just rolled into the technical part. And once we grew, I became actually more experienced, and now I'm one of the most experienced web developers that First Consulting has.
What was your first reaction when you started using Mendix?
I was working with another platform, which is called Oracle Apex. That's mostly based on SQL. So you could do everything, but a lot of it was still programming. And at First Consulting, we were really into already making building blocks, so making packages. So I was a bit hesitant when one of the partners of First Consulting actually mentioned Mendix. But I really have to say that, I haven't done any Oracle Apex development ever since. So I think that says all. Mendix is very, very good at actually reusability. So making building blocks, components that you can reuse again, and especially the application lifecycle. That's also a really important thing that I think Mannix is really good at, which takes away a lot of those tasks that you always have to do, which now are automated.
How did you learn Mendix? How did you become better at Mendix? Did you take training or did you have a mentor?
So at first we got a lot of help from Marco, of course, and from Mendix. But I'm the kind of person that actually really, really likes his job and then takes his job home with him and then starts developing himself as well. But also the fact that at First Consulting we have a lot of other developers, so we share best practices. We also developed our own training schedule.
So what is the first app you've built with Mendix?
Yeah, so the first app I've built was actually with NLE. It's a big Dutch energy company, and it is the self-service portal. So for clients to actually log into their application and see what is their electricity usage, the electricity volume. They can find their bills, download their bills.
So which app or project are you most proud of?
The one that I'm most proud of is actually also the one I think which has the most impact, and that's at the big Dutch beer brewer Heineken. Mm-hmm. We built a full master data management solution, which is not one app, but it's actually 4 apps that are communicating and having their own specific part in the Heineken landscape. But it's really in the Heineken landscape, meaning that it's used globally with a lot of breweries, a lot of different languages are supported, different back-end systems are integrated. It's just because so many people are actually working with it, that gives me.
So
a
how
really
many
proud
people
feeling.
use the app?
I think it's somewhere 1,100 users worldwide. Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Hmm. How has Mendix made your life easier or better?
So what Mendix really does for me is that it caters for sharing the building blocks that you have created, the components that you built, put them in an app store and actually reuse them again and again. Because Mendix also keeps focusing on the community development, it also means that more people download the content, more reviews are getting generated, but also the content is being upgraded again and again.
How did you learn about the MVP program?
So I use the forum a lot. And when you use the forum a lot, you see that there's ranking, and then there you get points for specific things that you do on the forum in the App Store. But actually, I found out about the MVP program really because I saw, hey, what was this thing next to this person's name? And I'm like, oh, they're really experienced, so what does it mean? So actually, just because I looked at the forum and I was really active in the community, I saw, okay, this is what it means. And then I just checked it on the internet, what does it actually mean, being an MVP? And then I really found out.
So did you immediately want to become an MVP when you saw that?
I would say no, and not because I didn't want it, but actually because I thought it was something that you would be nominated for.
Right.
So I think you should earn it by actually having experience and knowledge, and that the community actually gives you this nomination. So I wasn't thinking that I should earn it or I really want that. Yeah, if I would be nominated, I would be really surprised, but also really proud of it.
So what did you do to become an MVP? Did you do anything specific? Because you mentioned the forum.
The forum I use a lot, well, of course, also for my own knowledge, but also to help people, because with different customers, people tend to have the same problems. I look to solve the challenges myself, but I also help on the forum to answer those questions that I know already because I have a lot of experience.
What do you think is the greatest benefit of being an MVP?
Well, I will find out, of course, but what I think will be the greatest benefit is that I will at least have a sneak preview and a saying as well in the roadmap, so in the next releases that will be released on the Mendix platform.
Yeah. What are you most looking forward to in your role as MVP?
Actually sharing my knowledge and actually having the meetings with the other MVPs to see whether the things that I'm struggling with, or at least that First Consulting is struggling with, are also the topics that other partners and MVPs are struggling with themselves, and Mendix in the end is struggling with. So I would say sharing our knowledge and coming up with real solutions that will be beneficial for all the clients that Mendix and their supporting partners work with.
What are the main areas that you'll be focusing on as MVP? So you talked about custom development, about the forum. Are there any other areas that you think you can work on or contribute to?
Educating. I also really like to help people to get to a certain level, because what I see and what I think every Mendix developer will go through in his or her life as a developer is that you really have to get acquainted to best practices at an early stage. Because if you don't, you will end up probably building something that at least needs more attention in the future. So what I would like to emphasize on myself as well is to have some knowledge sharing training sessions as well, coming from the MVPs themselves.
I look forward to those sessions. What advice would you give to other Mendix developers?
At First Consulting, we build best practices around the Mendix platform, but I think currently they are widely available as well, is that you really get to know them up front.
So can developers find these best practices anywhere? Are you sharing those best practices?
Well, actually, currently we are only sharing them internally, but I would say that for the MVP program, I would really like that we come up with a best practice set that we share, like maybe via a blog or on the forum or whatever, find a means to share it. But it should be a joint collaboration, I would say.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much for this interview, and thank you for answering all these questions. I think a lot of developers find all of this information really useful, and thanks for being here, talking to us.